Donna Carnow. This is the Lupit Instagram live interviews. Donna, or Donka Kong on Instagram, is a New York-based pole and aerialist, described very often as I love this term, the human pretzel tornado. So we are going to talk to her about her life in New York, gigging and dancing in the air, on flying poles and regular poles, and how she came to be along with her. She is an instructor at Body and Pole in New York City, and originally from Chicago with a modern dance background, and often described as a high octane pole dance and aerial artist. Hi, Donna. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, for sure. Excited. Thanks for having me. Excited to chat and yeah, just like talk about some things. It's gonna be fun. How
Yes,
are you?
I'm good. Yeah. We have the soundbite of the human pretzel tornado for you.
Perfect. Yeah, it's efficient. It gets the job done.
I love it. Yeah, so there's a lot of dynamic work in your polling, and I know that you did you start your poll journey at Body and Pole, or did you start it when you were still in Chicago?
Like in Champaign, Illinois, in the cornfields of yeah, in a corner of Illinois. There's actually an amazing community out there. I started 11 years ago, or over 11 years ago. I was studying dance in school, and I went to University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and there was a student organization like way back in 2013, like just like it was not as common. It's a little bit more mainstream now, but it was called Illini Pole Fitness, and so I started taking classes for fun, and I was like, this is gonna be so cool, and I had a lot of room to grow, is is a way to say it. So it's been kind of a long journey. But yeah, I started there, and then I discovered and learned a lot about the New York City pole dance community, and specifically went there to train in dance and then also in pole. And so, yeah, fast forward many a moon. Now we've been out here for 7 years. I've been in New York for 7 years. Yeah, and it's been quite the ride. But it
Yes.
started in Illinois.
Wow. And let's start kind of like in the present, and then we'll go back. But what are some of the recent gigs that you have coming up? Because I know you do a lot of performing.
Yeah, so I'm a full-time pole artist, and so my dream, I guess, in life is to be equal parts performer, practitioner, and teacher. Practitioner, I guess, could also be considered creative, but I just think of like how much like I love the work that I do and like the form that I'm a part of and the community. Yeah, and so like that community exists in like a lot of different facets. Specifically, I mean, it's all over the world, but also like in New York, just because it's such a crazy city. So yeah, I have a lot of like different like workshops and teaching projects that I do in the city. And then I also like do freelance work and contracts both in New York and then internationally, kind of depending on what's going on. But yeah, right now I'm in the city, which has been really fun. Yeah, and trying to continue working on creative process and creating new things. So
Awesome.
yeah,
One,
it's it keeps it interesting, I guess, is the way to say it.
yeah. One thing I love to ask pollers, because I know that every poller has their own kind of unique journey and evolution of how they found their niche and their style and where they're liking to play in that current moment.
Mhm.
Can you paint me a picture of kind of where you started your pole career, what you were into, and then stylistically, what has the journey been up until now, and where are you right now with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool to think about. Like, I love pole so much because it's such how do I say, like no one does you like you doing the thing, because we all have different really unique movement histories, different bodies, different ranges of motion, different aesthetic agendas and stylistic choices that we all make, but we're all working with the same metal stick, so the possibilities are limitless. And so when we are looking at, okay, like where are you right now in your creative process, or what kind of work are you making and where did you come from, it's really cool to see like the lineage of an artist, and like see how they got there. I come from a really scrappy modern dance background, a lot of release technique, moving into and out of the floor, um, like these sensations of like spiral, torque, centrifugal force are things that like I feel really exist in my modern dance histories. And that's why I originally started doing pole, because it wasn't aerial, it was attached to the floor. You could fly around. It was almost like a partner you were dancing with. Um, and then just over the years, as I had like developed more technical ability, I was really hungry to perform more. And specifically in New York, there's a lot more opportunities for like aerial rigging, opposed to like dance pole. And also just bringing a stage pole on a train is like not a possibility. It's the worst thing in the world. So aerial pole, I was like, cool, like let's do this. So that's kind of how I became more I guess connected to like my aerial pole work, is just through wanting to share my work more in nightlife and variety theater in New York City. But yeah, it's brought me like all over the world. It's opened up a lot of doors into the circus community, and that's been pretty exciting. And it's been a really fresh, like dynamic way of bringing skills that I feel I've been working on now for over a decade. Yeah, it just into new heights, quite literally. But yeah, I still look at my like modern dance histories and modern dance backgrounds, and there's definitely a lot of that kind of vocabulary and those like value systems still in my work. Um, yeah, but then there's also all this like other contortion, forward foldy, crazy stuff that's in there too. So that just came from like my yoga background and my yoga journey, which is a whole other story. But yeah.
Yeah. As you were saying, it's one of my favorite things to talk to artists about is that journey. People who have been with pole for a while and kind of like where has that ebbed and flowed and where have the interests taken them. But I love that. It's so interesting. Like the aerial pole for you was really like gig based born, like, so you're like, I have to be able to take this on the road and make it happen in the air. Because the rigging is, it's more available that way. So yeah, I love that. Okay. So one of your favorite gigs that you've ever done, because I know you've done some eclectic, different kinds of collaborative works. So, what favorite gig, top gig? I know it's hard.
It
Top,
is really
top,
hard.
one of the top. Let's
Um,
just say one favorite
uh,
experience.
Dance pole or aerial pole, I guess.
Ooh, okay. Let's do one of each.
Okay. Um, Dance pole, I was part of a really cool project. It was in New York City during the pandemic. It was called Seven Deadly Sins NYC. And so it was when Broadway was still shut. There was like it was the production was able to rent out, or they had a donor uh, offer this real estate in the meatpacking district, which is right in the center of New York City. And so they created this, how do I say, like seven different vignette plays. And so there were seven different playwrights that wrote seven different pieces of 10-minute vignettes. And so the performers, which were all actors except me, I guess I like acted in it, would do a 10-minute vignette or 10-minute play, and all of the audience would sit outside, like in the heart of the city. And these were all in like these bodega. Um, and so it was like a really bizarre and kind of unique experience, because like there won't really be a lot of art like that again after COVID. So people would go between each performance and witness it. And so I pole danced in this like abandoned bodega in July in New York City. We did 252 shows
Oh
in a
my,
month and a half.
oh my
It was
gosh.
bananas. I got to co-star with Cynthia Nixon, who's like Miranda in Sex and the City if people like live their New York life that way. But yeah, so that she did the voiceover. She did the oh my god, why am I not able to to speak? What is it called? She did the 10-minute like
Vignette,
the voiceover.
the
Yeah,
voice
and
before.
then I pole danced to this monologue. That was the
Oh,
word.
okay.
We found her.
Yeah,
We
spoken
found
word
her.
monologue there. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so that was an amazing experience, and got to meet a lot of really cool people from that experience. The calluses at the end of that contract were wild. Like 90 minutes of pole dancing, like every night. Like a 10-minute like intense piece with 3 minutes in between every
Oh,
time we did it.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, we had like a permanent inside leg hand callus. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But even just an experience of like doing a show like that, and like the material was quite powerful and intense. The Best Wool is a genius. She's amazing. Tony nominated artist. But yeah, she was really the way that she wrote the piece. It really had people have to arrive into this different kind of world when you were walking in the streets of New York and then like seeing like a pole dancer doing their thing. But then them having this internal monologue because I didn't speak any of it. Yeah, it was incredible. But that was also just like an interesting experience as a performer is like, what is it like doing the act the first time in the night versus like the ninth time in the night? And like the fatigue and the exhaustion, and like the raw physicality that came from that was really cool. So that was a pretty amazing gig, and I don't think I'll ever do anything like that again. So it was pretty special. Um, Recently for aerial pole, I was able to be a part of Circus Flick Flack, which was in Duisburg. They have circuses all over Germany, but that circus was pretty amazing. Um, I was performing aerial pole at around like 12 to 13 meters up in the air, so it's around like
Wow.
40 feet.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. Holy moly.
yeah, and it was like a 1,300 seated like kind of arena or circus tent, not arena, but it like had a kind of that feeling because we were in the center of this like kind of circular structure. Yeah, like that, like the practice of being so present when you're that high in the air, like that's a really powerful thing. And I really love those kinds of opportunities and those kinds of experiences. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So, and Germany was fun, and during Christmas time, it was a really nice time.
Wow. And anything on any gigs you're getting ready for on the horizon that you're really excited about?
Yes, well, the freelance life is also crazy. So like right now we're just like doing month to month. I've worked with company XIV for which is like a Baroque burlesque ballet company in Bushwick. And so I'm joining them for Nutcracker Rouge, which is like a sexy nutcracker, which is a lot of fun and performing for aerial pole with them. But yeah, then also still freelancing and performing at a lot of clubs and variety spaces in the city. So yeah, so this week I have I think 7 shows, performing like at the Box, which is a nightlife venue in New York, and then House of Yes this week. So it's gonna be fun, gonna be different.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. It's full schedule. Okay, so now let's pivot to your teaching career. Like, so you are actively teaching in-person classes at Body and Pole right now, correct?
Yeah.
Are you doing any online offerings as well? And what do you tend to focus on in your teaching?
Yeah. So right now I'm teaching full-time at Body and Pole. I've been teaching there since 2018. And I'm really appreciative of that space and the sustainability they offer for artists. Yeah, being able to teach like full-time at a school like that, like just being able to teach pole dancing, and also just because of the knowledge base in New York is pretty high. Like the retention of knowledge there has been pretty amazing. Just because that studio has been there for a really long time, so I'm able to teach like more complex things, which is really fun. Um, yeah, so I'm teaching there full time. I also have been teaching workshops at Om Factory, which is an aerial dance school in the city. Um, Outside of that, I also teach. Sorry, we have a little. I'll show you a little sausage
Oh,
dog. This
hello.
is Vinny.
Hi,
I'm
Minnie.
currently fighting for my sock. I know
Get it,
he's
Minnie, get it.
I know. It's honestly been really fun also teaching at home and pole dancing here with him because he is yeah, fascinated by this. He thinks that you want to play and I'm like, honey, you gotta watch out. Trusting me with your life. But yeah, I teach online, more private offerings and then in-person privates as well. And then just group classes right now at Body and Pole and Home Factory workshops. But I've traveled all over the world. This year, I've been to 5 continents teaching and performing, which has been really cool. Um, yeah, but happy to be in New York right now.
Yes, and when it comes to your online offerings, I'm sure you have all sorts of offerings when you're teaching at Body and Pole, but when it comes to your online offerings, what do you tend to like to focus on? So who's the right person to train one-on-one with you online?
Right. So it kind of depends on the unique goals that someone has. So I teach a lot of like mobility and like flexibility based training as well. and mostly rooted in like active range of motion or active flexibility because you have to be able to control what you're doing up there on the pole. I teach a lot of that, but then also specifically for pole, if people are interested in really breaking down specific transitions or specific like more like intermediate advanced skills. I get a lot of requests for aerial pole specifically, teaching just different ways of, yeah, controlling your apparatus, generating a spin, yeah, just being safe when doing a more dynamic version of pole because it's not attached to the floor and you're spinning at a faster rate, et cetera, et cetera. Um, yeah, and then also just like breaking down more specific things in like intermediate advanced levels. That's what I'm personally really excited about as a teacher as well. So I think is what I tend to attract those kinds of students.
Got it. Well,
Sorry.
thank you so much. This has been super fun. And Vinny, thank you for joining us too.
Vinny, I know I'm like gonna try to get my sock back from this guy. But yeah, oh my God, this little wiggle worm. Yeah, thank you for taking time. I really appreciate it, and it's been fun. I've like during the pandemic, like Loop It Pole, I was for the first time ever in my shoebox apartment. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to have my equipment, and got a Loop It Pole, and it like immediately shifted everything for me, and it was really empowering as an artist to have my equipment in my own space and be able to like evolve and grow like that. So I'm really thankful for the company and for the opportunity to share a little bit about myself and my work.
Yes, absolutely. We cannot wait to see what you do next. Thanks so much for joining
Um,
us.
yeah, thank you. Talk soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.